How's it going, everyone? It is Andre Williams. Over here, we talk stocks and we focus on one thing: always protect your profits. And today, we're going to be talking about Lucid and as well as for SOFI. We saw a lot of volatility in the markets today, so I want to make sure you guys are prepared going into tomorrow. So let's get into it. So when we take a look at Lucid, it closed at $18.93, being up 0.91%. So not that much. And then when we take a look at where it tested out of lows at $18.18, and then on the high testing $19.16. When we take a look at the volume stats on the day, you can see we traded at 12.924 million shares, and the average volume over 10 trading days is at 20.352 million shares. So we had below average volume on the day, and we saw some strength in the stock. Now, when we take a look at our chart, which is a daily chart, what I want to bring to your attention, Lucid is showing a good amount of strength. We could see as far as from the previous day, we did form a lower low for today, but we are keeping up the pattern of forming higher highs all the way since back August the 12th, which was last week. So we want to see a continuation of this. We ended up seeing a high at $19.16, and I said that was important because we want to see price action above the 50 EMA. Can we use this 50 EMA as support, especially as this week progresses? That would be the ideal scenario. So considering it's at $18.97, finding support at $19 by the end of the week would be really good. And what would be the next level we'd want to watch if we can break above $19.16? Of course, it'd be right here around $19.70. So please add that to your notes. I'll put a line there so you guys could see it for yourselves. And if we break through that $19.70, of course, we want to see Lucid getting to that psychological area at $20. If it's able to do this, that's where things can get interesting for this play. Now, if we decide to have a pullback, I'd like to see a higher low. So we want to have some support coming in above $18.18. Most preferably, I would love for it to be at the 9 EMA at $18.62. So let's see what happens. But if we do get that, that is a good sign for the stock. But just remember, as long as we have support above $18.18, things are going to look good. When things start looking bearish, then you want to see Lucid actually breaking below $18, which you could see it wanting to come down all the way to 17.5 and then seeing what it would do from there. We do have buyers down here. That is one thing to keep in mind, but we also can't forget this level between 1770 and as well as the 1780 range. We know that there's a lot of support that has come here within these areas in the past, so that is one thing you'd want to see if you'd have a continuation of. But for the most part, Lucid is looking good. Let's see what it does going into tomorrow. So we're going to take a look at the recent institutional ownership and short interest information for Lucid. So scrolling down on the page, green rows indicate new positions while red rows indicate closed positions. So we're going to take a look at the recent filings for the 16th. So we had Jane Street Group LLC that closed their puts. We also have Castleview Partners LLC with a closed position, and we have Fortitude Advisories Group LLC that closed their positions as well, and that is about it. Now, when we take a look at the short interest, the off-exchange short volume ratio is at 52.03%, and then for the off-exchange short volume, it is just over 2.52 million shares. Scrolling down on the page, the short shares availability is at 1.4 million, updated 29 minutes ago, and then for the short borrow fee rate, it is at 10.66%. When we take a look at the history of the short volume, we can see for the close of the 12th, it is at 48.45, and then for the close of the 15th, it is at 52.03. So it has gone up a bit, and then when we take a look at the short interest percentage of the float being at 21.02%, Lucid does continue to have short squeeze potential. And we also did have some recent news that came out in regards to Lucid, where they hired a delivery advisor for Switzerland amid their European expansion. So this is definitely a great news for investors, and I think it kind of contributed to the strength that we saw in the stock today. We also did see some volatility inside of the market, so it's going to be very interesting to see how it performs going into tomorrow. Let's move on to SOFI. Let's take a look at SOFI. So you can see that we closed at $7.58, being down 0.52%. On the low, it tested $7.19, and then on the high, testing $7.81. When we take a look at the volume stats on the day, you can see we traded at 56.653 million shares, and the average volume over 10 trading days is at 60.392 million shares. So we had below average volume on the day, and we saw a slight pullback in the stock. Now, when we take a look at our chart, which is a daily chart, what we can see right away, SOFI is still trading above our major moving averages, which is the 9 EMA, the 50 EMA, and as well as the 21 EMA. So knowing that we closed just above the 9 EMA, what do we want to see see going into tomorrow, we want to see a higher low. We could see with the recent price action, we were able to form a higher high from the past 2 trading days. So that is good to see. So knowing that we got to 781, we want to break above this level going into tomorrow or sometime this week so we can get back going to $8. We also can't forget the fact that there's a gap that needs to be filled at $6.64. So in order for us to actually get there, then we'd want to see a break below $7.19 for all of my bears out there, and then you'd want to see what it would do if it got down to the 50 EMA at $6.91. If that level breaks, we will fill in that gap. But for the most part though, if we can have some more momentum coming into the play and start seeing some strong moves to the upside and breaking $8, then I want to see the next move going to $8.51. You could see it marked, and if we can get through $8.51, then there's a high likelihood we could see SOFI trading around $9. And like I said yesterday in my previous video, I would love to see SOFI fill in the gap first and then continue its run up. I'm pretty sure we'll have a lot of bulls down here who are going to be waiting, wanting to buy up the stock and then push it up further. But for the most part, just taking in the recent price action, looks like we just have some consolidation. So let's see if it can continue to the upside or to the downside, but whatever the case may be, at least you guys know the levels to look out for. So we're going to take a look at the recent institutional ownership and short interest information for SOFI. So scrolling down on the page, green rows indicate new positions while red rows indicate closed positions. So when we take a look at the recent filings for the 16th, we have Carolinas Wealth Consulting LLC that closed out their position, Fortitude Advisories Group LLC that closed out their position. We also have Jane Street Group LLC that closed out their calls and as well as their puts, and that's about it for the 16th. Now when we take a look at the short interest, the off exchange short volume ratio is at 44.75%, and then for the off exchange short volume, it is just over 8.3 million shares. Scrolling down on the page, the short shares availability is at 10 million, updated 1 minute ago, and then for the short borrow fee rate, it is at 1.29%. When we take a look at the history of the short volume, you can see for the close of the 12th, it is at 45.31, and then for the close of the 15th, being at 44.75. So it did go down a little bit, and then when we take a look at the short interest percentage of the float being at 17.06%, SOFI does continue to have short squeeze potential. Another thing to take into consideration from the price action that we are seeing, it seems to be consolidating, but at least we know whichever direction it decides to take, we know when it's looking weak and we know when it's looking strong, considering that we did take a look at the charts in depth. So that pretty much sums up the video for you guys. I hope you enjoyed it. If you are new to this channel, make sure that you subscribe, and if you found a lot of value in this video, make sure that you hit the like button. Let's see how both of these stocks perform going into tomorrow, and I will continue to keep you guys inside of the loop.